Before we begin this video, Mr. CanYouSayG did a little interview with me, and by little I mean massive as hell because I can't shut up, but if you do want to give it a look, I'm going to drop a link in the description. I mostly talk about stuff related to YouTube, and as well a lot about commentary, as well as what it means both for me personally and for the community going forward. But without any further ado, let's get on to the video. Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to be taking a look at some more Dimension Police reveals from the Galaxy Stargate, which is releasing pretty soon. As I'm recording this, it is currently 5 days, well I guess 5 days left until release. And we still don't know the Gallop Stride, which is a little bit sad. I was actually holding off this video until like the end of the week because I was like, oh, maybe we'll get Gallop on the Friday, but we didn't, so whatever. But it's not the biggest loss because we still have a lot of stuff to talk about. We have 8 cards today, including the ZR, because that does technically belong to Dimension Police as well. The set is in itself shaping up to be an interesting one. There are some things I'm happy with that I didn't think I'd be happy with, and then there's like Victor support that I'm super happy with. Gallop like surprising me in every possible way, and then with Dimensional Robos, I found some interesting things. I'm gonna keep testing them. I'll talk about them as we go through this video, but they're pretty interesting. But anyway, the first card we're gonna talk about. Oh, and also, before I get carried away, I normally would have done this in order of like how they were revealed, but I kind of forgot what happened on which days because we had the whole holiday season and everything, where like for a few days nothing was revealed. So I'm just gonna go from highest grade to lowest grade because I decided that's a good way to distribute things. So first off, we're gonna have none other than Stargate's Zeroth Dragon Stark. So Stark is the ultimate stride, meaning that in order to stride it, you do have to pay the same card as your Vanguard as cost, and then if you don't win the game during that turn, you're gonna lose your G-Zone. And then, when you ride him, you may counterblast 2. If you do until end of turn, this unit gets drive -2, and this unit does not rest for an attack, and it can attack up to 3 times during this turn. That means that when it attacks, even after the 3rd time, it will not rest. It will attack instant each time. Also, you can attack in any order you want, so you can go like rearguard, Vanguard, like Vanguard kind of thing. So it really doesn't matter which order you attack in, so it's very cool. It's not like a forced immediate like attack like how Dominate does. So honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, that doesn't seem very strong. But then I thought about it, and I realized especially for Dimension Police, this card is insane. Like, the amount of stuff it does is crazy. Because sure, it's attacking with 1 drive check every time, but let's say with Gallop. We have our 13k base, and this guy is 25k plus. We're already going to be sitting at 38 to begin with. We use Gallop's new skill, give him plus 12k. We're a 50k attacker, 3 times by the way, 50k attacker. That's like already a good start. Plus, we're going to look at a card later in this video, but I'll just spoil it now. But Grand Scout does allow you to double your Vanguard's power. So, you know, you just plop him down, and suddenly your Stark is 100k. And, you know, if your opponent's at 5, or even 4, honestly, dealing with 300k attacks is pretty hard, even at 1 drive check, honestly. So that's like the effect that has in Gallop. In the Dimensional Robo deck, at least in the Daikaiser/Daikaiser Legion deck, when you're in the Daikaiser Legion with Great Dayusha, you can actually use Go Cannon to give your Vanguard a crit by just like selecting Great Dayusha as the heart. So then you're going to be giving the Stark a crit. So it's going to be hitting for, you know, it's going to hit for the base power. It's not going to increase that much, but like you can actually give it the crit. So like having a crit on a unit that attacks 3 times is pretty damn scary. So honestly, Stark is so good. Like at first, I don't know why, I just didn't think it was that strong, but the more I think about it, especially for Dimension Police, it's really good. So this, I have trouble saying why you shouldn't play this, especially in Dimension Police, because like we do have, okay, like in Daikaiser you have a lot of good finishers, so like there it's not as much of an issue, but like in Gallop, we haven't seen the new Gallop Stride yet, so it's like tentative, but this is ridiculous in Gallop, because not only can you like we have like a 100k attacker, also Bravest Rush Gallop, like it gets the extra crit and 4k power with every attack, so it will gain a plus 12k plus 3 crit, and if you call 2 of those, you're gonna have 4 crit rearguards sitting there with a bunch of power added up as well. So like, it's just so crazy. Like especially, I think, of all the decks that can possibly profit off of Stark, Gallop is the one that like takes everything away because it's just that good. So I think like in Gallop, this will be, as much as it hurts me to say this, currently it's looking like a staple. We don't know what the new Gallop Stride does yet, but right now Stark is insanely important in Gallop. Like, Daikaiser can get away without it, and because it already has a lot of good finishers, and Dynexus is sort of a question mark because it doesn't really, in my opinion, gain that much from it. But apart from that, Brilliant Blister doesn't work against it because it never rests, and Laurel also doesn't work with it because there's no Vanguard to stand. So that's Stark. Took a little bit of a while to talk about, but he is very important. Next up we have the Dimensional Robo Stride that was hyped up and slightly disappointing, which is Magna Daibird. So first we'll read off the skill, which is a once per turn Persona Flip, no cost on top of that though. This unit gets the skill that when your opponent's Guardian is placed, you can Soul Blast 1, and if you do, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. If all of them are Dimensional Robos, then you can put up to 1 Grade 3 card from among them into your hand, and if you put one, then you choose one of your opponent's Guardians and retire it, shuffle your deck. So, you know, at first I dismissed it. I was like, this is good in Dynexus because Dynexus needed, like, they were hyping up Dynexus as something that will use the soul in one way or another. I'm starting to think Dynexus might not be that bad because you can use interesting things like X-Lead or X-Led in that, like, because you can just use Cosmic Heroes essentially with him. So like it's alright. But like this in Daikaiser, I was thinking about it, I was like, there's no reason to play this in Daikaiser, is there? And then I kept thinking to a lot of my tournament games with Daikaiser, and the amount of good players that deny my second damage. And the reason why they deny my second damage is because even if I'm going first, and I have the Daihawk on the field, and like let's say they couldn't remove it, then I would, you know, use the Daihawk to go into Great Earth. What do I need to use Great Earth? To a face-up counterblast. So they would, on purpose, not give me the second damage, sometimes just ending their turn without attacking because they don't want me to gain everything from, you know, like let's say they don't have a Perfect Guard and I have a Laurel, they're gonna probably lose that game because they cannot put up with that, so they just don't give me the second damage. Meanwhile with this, I don't get as much out of it as I would with the first stride Earth, but if they are denying my my second damage, I can actually go into this as my first stride, and because it is free, like apart from the soul cost, I can have some pressure too, because I will never have guard pressure on first stride, right? Because I will not be able to break ride that early. I will most likely not be able to Legion that early, especially if my opponent's not a grade 3 yet, obviously. But, and also I won't be able to go into Daikaiser Leon that early either, because like it's just, I won't have like the GB3 yet. So it's actually not super bad. Like it's not a very good card, because it also doesn't kill Perfect Guards. I think that's important to mention in case you didn't know. This doesn't kill Perfect Guards. It can kill G-Guards though, which is pretty nice. But, you know, it can basically kill everything except for Perfect Guard, so if they Perfect Guard it, that's like nothing. Like, okay, GG. But, you know, if you put down the Laurel on the field, chances are they'll Perfect Guard anything. But it's just nice. The only reason why I like it is because it gives me something to do when my opponent denies my second damage, which happens a lot in, like, in the more competitive locals that I go to here in Japan. So, like, I now see a reason why I would run this in Daikaiser. In Dynexus, you run this as a 4-of, in Daikaiser maybe 2. But in Dynexus, this is a really important 4-of because this is like your winning image, basically. Like you will not be doing much apart from like Dymax. So this is really important in Dynexus. But yeah, that's about it. I wanted to talk more about why it's possible in Daikaiser rather than in Dynexus, because like in Dynexus it's very obvious why you need it, because the deck doesn't have any other pressure. So it's an alright card. I love the art though. I have to say, like the art and the lore of it, with like it being like the oldest dimensional police, or at least dimensional Robo of all time, is like really cool. So like I love everything else about this unit, it's just the skill is a little bit subpar, so that's a bit disappointing. Next up we have Cosmic Hero Grand Wisdom. He isn't super great. When he attacks a Vanguard, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, you may have this unit gain plus 4k, and if you do, at the end of that turn, you may put him into your soul and countercharge 1. Or not may put him into your soul, you do put him into your soul. So this one's kind of okay. It's not on GB1, so as long as you're on grade 3, even if your opponent's on grade 2, he will be a 13k attacker, and then it gives you the counter charge. It's kind of alright, but the thing is, like last week we saw one of the other common grade 2s with resist, so I'm like, I kind of want to play 8 resists a bit more than play 4 resists, and this, which will, like, the thing is, we'll see how bad the counterblast situation is. I think if I'm really burning through my counterblast too fast, then I will play this. But we still have the latest Enigma grade 1 that helps with the countercharging, so I really don't think it'll be that bad, but we'll see. Like, it's a bit hard to guess for now, but if it's needed, I will play this guy, but for now, it's not, from my theory crafting at least, it doesn't look that necessary. The next disappointing Dimensional Robo is Daibird. So he is, like, for a double rare, he's disappointing, but I would still play him at 1. But let's go over the skill. When he's cold, you choose one of your Vanguards and give it the skill that when the Vanguard attacks a Vanguard, you can counterblast 1. If you do, draw a card. Now, I'm probably going to play this as a 1-of, because Zeroth allows you to do those things, so like you can actually just like I mean, even now I'm playing like a 1-of Lesson, because it's like there are times when like I will not have any great reason to drop, and I don't, you know, I might win the game without even putting them there because, you know, first stride Laurel memes, but I will sometimes, you know, use the Zeroth to call out Lesson instead of a Dijet, because I can at least push for numbers in case my Vanguard gets PG'd. So with this, it's kind of similar. You can pull this out with a Zeroth to give yourself an extra card in hand for an additional counterblast, which does cost a bit, but honestly it's not that bad because Dimensional Robos countercharge like easily, especially with another card we're gonna take a look at later. So the counterblast part is like not a problem whatsoever. This will be doing more in Daikaiser than Dynexus. Well, Dynexus is good because like you're already gaining so much advantage, it helps, but the countercharging part is easier in Daikaiser than Dynexus because we have Daibazooka. So that's the main reason for that. But like honestly, it's a little bit disappointing. It's especially like because it's on call. So I mean, the other nice thing is that because it's a grade 2 with no GB1, you can actually call this on turn 2 to get yourself an extra card for counterblast. So like if you know your opponent's gonna stall you and like not give you the damage, you can actually just like plop him down and then like just give yourself an extra card, or well, exchange a card essentially, because you have to lose one card by putting him down, at least from your hand, but you do get an extra attack. So it's like that kind of thing. I don't think he's like bad or like terrible or garbage, but he's definitely not exactly what I was hoping Dimensional Robos would get, if that makes sense. Also, I forgot one of the other grade 4s as I was starting to get into the grade 2s, which is Tri-Earth. So similar to Zeroth, but nowhere near as good. This one doesn't even have Cosmic Hero in its name, and plus it also doesn't have Burst, which is like the first big problem for a stride like this. Skill is Act, choose any G unit and turn it face up once per turn. Until end of turn, he gets plus 10k, and the skill that when it hits a Vanguard, for every 20k that this unit has, you retire that many rearguards on hit. I don't even know if I need to say anything about this. Like, this is bad. This is straight up bad. It's not good in anything, because like you have better strides. You have two good first strides, one even better in Dimensional Robos. You have something in Metalborgs. You have even in Enigmans, I would say you can just play the burst strides. Like in Zeal, you can basically like just Dimensional Police as a whole has better first strides. This is not a necessary one. And like playing this in late game does nothing because you have much better strides as well. So from a budget perspective, sure, but honestly, even some of the cheaper strides in Dimensional Police are better than this one. So like, I don't know. And like in Cosmics, you can play X-Falcon first stride. Like that's gonna be memes. Like, but you can reach 45k so easily that like you're not so much focused on like dealing the 6 damage with the skill. You're focused on like retiring the starter basically. But it's kind of interesting, but like this card is not good at all. Like I'm sorry, but I try to find as many good things about cards these days, but like this one is very hard to defend and it's simply fodder. Next up is Grand Gunner. So this one has, oh, I love the art in this one, the color scheme and everything, and like the little design works and I love this guy so much. Too bad his skill isn't as great. It's just a burst. Like the burst part is nice, but it's a continuous rearguard circle during your turn. If your Vanguard's power is 40k or more, this unit gets plus 4k. So he's an 11k booster or attacker at all times. The nice part is that he does have burst printed, but I'm not sure if this would be played because right now your grade 1s are quite tight. The build that I'm theory crafting will be 3 Grand Monk, 1 Enigman Calm, and then you're gonna have 4 Grand Scout that we're gonna get into a bit after this essentially, and then 3 Enigman Blanc, and then probably 3 Stride Fodder, and that's already like you're already at what the usual grade 1 count. So I don't think Grand Gunner has space. I'll see, like when I start playtesting the deck, I'll see how the numbers form in the rearguard circles, and then I'll decide if it's important or not. But if he gave 4k to Vanguard and himself on top of that, that'd be nice. but I guess it makes up for the fact that Gallop gives himself a plus 12k right off the bat. So it's kind of, it's a bit interesting, but it's not super great. It's just the art that's really good. And now next, arguably after Stark, this was the most hyped up card of these past like almost 2 weeks now actually, which is Grand Scout. So he doesn't have burst printed, but he does have a GB2. When you call him, you Counterblast 1 and Soul Blast 1. If you do, choose one of your Vanguards with Gallop in its card name, and its power doubles until end of turn. At the end of that turn, retire this unit and Soul Charge 1. And in brackets, it increases by the amount of power that has been chosen at that time. This is an insane grade 1. This just turned Gallop from like tier 365 to at least tier 2, I want to say. Because the things you can do with Stark, the things you can do with literally any stride is just so crazy. Like, this is actually really scary, because any stride that you start on the new Gallop will be 40k base, thanks to this new stride skill, right? So anything, like, it starts on 40k base, everything goes up to 80k just by dropping him immediately. You can like pump your Vanguard up by like 3-4ks, like from skills, and then double it for over 100k if it's not Stark. Stark will be 100k immediately. So like, it's such a crazy skill. It's like, wow. And like, the fact that it doesn't end and like it retires himself, like, sure, that's like, I'm willing to pay that much, but it also refunds a soul is like, wow, that's like beyond generous. Like, this is a really insane card, and it will be a 4 of 100% staple. There's no other way. Like, this is a staple card for Gallop. There's no way about it, and that's it. And now the final card that I'm also quite happy about is Dimensional Row Operator Kathy, or Kashi as it's written in Japanese. So this is our heal for the clan. So this is the special heal that it lets you either countercharge 1 or soul charge 1, and the best part is that she's a Dimensional Robo. So this means a lot for every deck. For Cosmics, it gives them more countercharge as well as possibly soul charges, because we're not sure how much we'll be blasting the soul after this new support, but I think the countercharge is extra important. And then for Dimensional Robos, it just gives us an extra way of countercharging. It's more important in Dynexus. In I don't know. I feel like in Dynexus you might also want to be soul charging because of how the deck works. I think also in Daikaiser it's also very tempting, because the new stuff also interacts with the soul that like you want to be playing in anything Dimensional Robo, like the PG and stuff. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. Her art is amazing. Like, I'm really happy that a operator girl is our heal for the whole clan. So this is a really good thing. And honestly, like, I couldn't be happier. I'm gonna need 12 of her though, which is a bit problematic. But oh well. Like, this is pretty nice. So this has been a pretty good week of support. We've had some nice things. There are some things that I was disappointed by at first and then suddenly got super happy about. So honestly, like, it's a good couple of weeks. I think it's almost been a couple of weeks for this set, and now it's almost out. I'll do one more countdown probably, maybe, like I think on Wednesday we're gonna see everything by then. So I think like either you're gonna get a second one like very soon after when like everything is revealed, so I'll do like a final wrap up of everything that's been revealed, but there's not much left. Like, we've talked about almost everything. It's just the Gallop that's really hype, so that's all that's left to talk about. But yeah, so that's gonna be it for this week's countdown for Stargate. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as well, don't forget, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I did have the interview with CanYouSayG, and I'll leave the link to that in the description. So if you didn't check it out earlier, then you can check it out now. So that's gonna be it for me today. Don't forget that Worlds livestream is happening on the 21st of January that I will be commentating. So I hope to see a lot of you guys there. And alright, this time that is gonna be it for me. So I'll see you guys next time. Psych. You thought we were over, but I recorded this the day before, but I was like, you know what? I'll hold off before uploading it just a little bit, and I'll wait if they reveal Gallop on the Monday, and boy, they delivered. First, we do have another starter, which is Build Standard. So this is supposed to be the new burst starter, but it's pretty garbage. The skill is just Canvas 1, slide into the soul to draw a card, and give your Vanguard plus 4k. Pretty much unnecessary in the deck right now, and Grand Hop is much better for the countercharge, so this is pretty much irrelevant. It's just good because it has that like meme pose, and it's basically made out of Legos, so that's kind of nice, but honestly this is not necessary, and the main thing we need to be talking about is Bravest Peak X Gallop. boy, I am in love with this thing. As soon as I'm done recording and editing and upload this video, I'm gonna go and start testing this thing because I've been hyped for this deck really bad, and this was the one card I was really waiting for. So, his 2 skills, first one of which is, when he attacks, if his power is 40k or greater, you can counterblast 1 and flip any G unit face up. If you do, he gets an extra drive check, and then at the end of that battle, if his power is 80k or greater, you stand him and he loses all 4 drive checks. So, with that skill, basically, you can first try to get an extra drive check. If that's what your objective is, then, you know, feel free. In that case, you'd run this at 4, but if you're only... Because like we do have better first strides than just getting an extra drive check in like X-lead and stuff like that, or X-led. So he's not really necessary to be first stridden. You cannot get the restand on first stride. Like you cannot use Grand Scout to double his power, because Grand Scout is on GB2 and this one activates. He only flips the G unit on attack, so you will not be able to use Grand Scout before because his skill is GB2 and you're only on GB1 during the main phase. So you will have to, you know, raw pump yourself to 80k, which is a little bit too much, I think, for, you know, just like using skills to power up. I don't think it's actually that worth it. Plus, when he restands, he doesn't have any drive checks, so he's just like hitting for a bunch of pressure with his additional power. Now, his GB3 complements the first skill perfectly. Also, for the first skill, does have burst, meaning we can use the Linka stand trigger, which is really important, meaning you can give guard break to him, which is exactly what we needed. So, but anyway, the GB3 is this unit gets power plus 10k for each face-up card in your G-zone. This is a really good skill as well, because this allows you to play a 2 of, or even a 1 of, in-dimensional Robos, because you can stride this when you have like, you know, like 4 or 5 face-up G units, and then you just like stride him, and then he's going to be able to pump himself up to 40k just with his own GB3, and maybe like, you know, like a Dijet or something, like something random, and like that makes it so much better because now you can actually, you know, this gives you another opportunity of what to do. Like Dimax was usually the end, like the one card you use in those situations, but now like when we're in control meta, this is actually really good. So I'm honestly super happy. In Gallop, this is a 3 of, I'm gonna say. Like I said, I'm gonna start testing. I already have a like theory crafted list that I really want to test out. So I'm gonna try to get to that tonight if I have time. If not, like sometime during the week, because the set release in Japanese is just around the corner. So now that we actually have Gallop, like there's a few more commons left to reveal. We've actually had every single foil for Dimension Police, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna make another countdown. So this might have actually been the last one. So like if the commons, like if they reveal, like let's say a critical that's the same as the Angel Feather one that unlocks, then I'll make another countdown. But if it's nothing super important and just like filler fodder commons and rares, then I probably won't make another countdown. So we're gonna see, you know, worst case scenario, we talk about the last few cards in this set breakdown. It's not the end of the world, but honestly, like this Gallop is ridiculously good. It's pretty much what I wanted it to be. Some people are disappointed because, like, oh yeah, like also, you can use this with Laurel, like technically, and it won't have lost the drive checks. So that's something to bear in mind. Another thing with Bravest Rush is that Bravest Rush's rearguard skill will activate twice, because you will have attacked twice, even though you attack with no drive checks in the second attack, like you're still attacking twice. So this is a really nice stride. I love it a lot. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna start testing this deck ASAP because I'm loving it. The art form is good. The burst skill is like amazing. The fact that its burst is so good because we can use Linka, that makes it even more of a pressure stride. So I'm really happy with this, and I hope you guys are just as excited. We'll see if my excitement is actually justified once I start testing, and then I'll see if, you know, this whole deck is as good as I'm hyping it up to be. I still think Victor is the best thing out of the set, with Chaos following up, but I think Gallop is not super far behind. I think in the right hands it'll do well, just like Dimensional Robos have been for this entire year, except now it's going to be Gallop. Although I think Daikaiser will still be able to do fine because we got some new tools to play with. I'm going to test around with that as well. I'm pretty interested to see what's going to happen, but I'm really hyped for Cosmics. Like, this is a really good stride, a good GR. I wouldn't say 4 of because you can't use it in first stride, so I think 3 of or even 2 of you can get away with. I think 3 is the perfect number, and that's how many you get in a case, or if you're in a case split, then you're pretty lucky. So that's gonna be it for me today, this time for real. No more psychs this time. I will get this video out as I'm currently speaking on the same day because I cannot keep on delaying it. And that's about it for me. So I'll see you guys not just next time, but also on the World Finals livestream. Bye bye.